Okay, these are the two most common clefs that you're going to find at the beginning of the page. This one is a treble clef, sometimes called a G clef. That's a little archaic, but you can see that it is a G clef because this part right here sort of forms a little target, almost like a bullseye, right around the G line. So this intersection right here, when you're using this clef, that is a G. And I think most people know these, but when we have the names of the lines here, we have every good boy does fine, or E, G, B, D, F. And when we talk about the spaces, we have F, A, C, E. These are pretty common. I think most people know these. If you don't know them, you need to get those memorized quickly. Cool thing about this, when you put these together, if you were to go line, space, line, space, line, space, all the way up, you are going alphabetical. So E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. And those all come right out of these, just put into alphabetical order, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. There is no H in music, or at least not in America. Europeans sometimes call B natural H, and B flat is, they just call it B, capital B. But that's not something you're going to worry about in America. This clef is called the bass clef. It's sometimes called an F clef because these two lines are centered right around the F. The reason we have these other names is that these clefs used to be movable. So you could, in the old days, you could draw this one up here and have the G up on the third line instead of being on the second line. It's still, wherever that target is, that's telling you that it's a G. But you could move this one up, you could move this one down, and these were movable. That's not the case anymore. Every time you see these clefs now in modern music, since say 1600, roughly, somewhere around that century, these are always the clefs that we're used to today, which is every good boy does fine are the lines. F-A-C or E are the spaces. And down here you have a different set to memorize. G, B, D, F, A are the lines on the bass clef. I like to say green buses drive fast always. Some people say something that sounds almost like the treble clef one. I like to make them completely different. If you want to make up your own, you're welcome to do that, little mnemonic to help you remember the lines of the bass clef. If you get too creative with the F line, then please be careful how you use that in class. I don't want any F-bombs dropped in class. But green buses drive fast always is the one that I usually use, and that's good for kids. It's not confusing at all with the treble clef mnemonic. And then all cows eat grass is they are the spaces for the bass clef. You can notice also if you go line, space, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. It's alphabetical again, just like the treble clef was. A lot of times you will see these two clefs put together, especially if you play the piano. So we put a piano brace on them, which puts these two together. When you see them joined together like this, piano music is like that. Marimba music, which is my instrument, is written this way most of the time. In between, you're going to have, if you go down here, one more line. This is going to be middle C. And you could see if we were to continue this, there's an E, that would be a D, and there's a C, middle C. That's the middle C on the piano, just like you have probably learned if you've ever taken piano lessons. Now as you go down here, F, G, A, if we were to go from this G, there's an A, this A, we go on up to B, and then we go up to the C, right up there. This C, if written here, in between the grand staff, this is the exact same C as this. But you can see this is a ledger line below the treble clef. This is a ledger line above the bass clef. And they both point to the same note. Now you can tell which one it is by where it's written. If it's written there, that's a C on the treble clef. If it's written here, that's a C on the bass clef. Not much confusion about that. But it is possible that you could go on up here. I could go up to a D here, and I could come down to a B here. And this note could actually be lower than this note, because this one is above middle C, and this one is below middle C. That doesn't happen very often, but if you play a lot of piano music, you will run into it occasionally. The only other thing I want to add, these ledger lines, we talked about one of them here. These are ways that you can extend any of these staves. So this staff ends on F, there's the top note F, but I can go up as far as I want to go up beyond that by just continuing up the alphabet. So this is F, G, A, B, C, D, E. And if you want to go down, you can go down from this one like we were doing here. There's C below. Here's C above, and that can continue past C. And if you go down here, A, G, there's the G, F, E, D, C. And you can continue going down. So those are called ledger lines.